The message came in the middle of the night. All across the galaxy, screens and projectors suddenly turned black. Then a symbol appeared, a burning star wrapped in iron wings. Every species recognized it at once. It was the mark of the Galactic Empire. People froze. Soldiers, traders, scientists, and even smugglers stopped what they were doing. The broadcast was everywhere. No one could block it. And then the voice spoke. It was cold, strong, and filled with pride. This is the supreme voice of the Galactic Empire. Humanity has refused to bow. Humanity has grown too bold. In 7 days, the Empire will erase the human race from existence. Their world will burn. Their stars will fall. Their name will be forgotten. Silence followed. No one in the galaxy had ever heard a death sentence spoken so calmly. On a small blue planet called Earth, the message reached every screen. Streets went silent. Even children stopped talking. Everyone listened. The Empire was not just another enemy. It ruled half the galaxy. Its fleets were larger than entire star systems. When the Empire declared war, no one survived. But Earth did not scream, it did not panic. It smiled. In a hidden underground base beneath the frozen Arctic, a group of leaders watched the broadcast. The room was dark, filled with screens showing enemy fleet movements. President Keller leaned back in his chair. His face was calm, almost cold. Around him sat military officers, scientists, and intelligence chiefs. General Rayner slammed his hand on the table. "They're declaring our end like we're nothing. Like we're just insects to crush." Keller's eyes narrowed. "That's what they've always thought. That's why this is going to be fun." The room grew silent, not in fear, but in focus. Far away, at a secret space station orbiting Neptune, the old war AI Erebus slowly came online after years of silence. Its core lights flickered like a heartbeat. "Wake up, Protocol Phoenix. Initiated," it whispered through the static. Engines deep beneath the station began to roar. Heavy doors opened. For years, no one had known what was hidden there. Now the secret was waking up. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Empire's war room, high-ranking alien commanders laughed. "The humans will beg for mercy," one said. "They are weak. No real fleet. No real power," another added. "In 7 days their world will burn brighter than any sun." The supreme voice nodded. "Prepare the fleet. Crush them quickly. Make an example of Earth on a massive holomap. Red lines surrounded the human star system like a closing fist. But on Earth, the response was different. In the heart of the old military bunker, Lyra Stone stood on a balcony, watching hidden ships rise from the ocean like black shadows. She had been born after the First War, but she had grown up hearing the stories. Her father had told her something she never forgot. They think humans are weak, because they never saw what happens when we stop being nice. Lyra whispered the words to herself now, her lips forming a smile. They're not ready. In New London, people filled the streets. Not to cry, not to run, but to watch the night sky. News drones floated above, recording everything. The Empire had declared humanity's doom, but the people of Earth lit lanterns in the sky instead of hiding in bunkers. "Why are they smiling?" a reporter from another star system asked. "Because they know something the Empire doesn't," an old man answered. In deep space, unknown to the galaxy, hundreds of ships drifted in the shadows between stars. No one had seen them for decades. They were old, powerful, and silent. Their engines remained cold. Until now. One by one, their lights turned on. A signal pulsed across the void. An ancient human code. A single word: awaken. President Keller stood before the world's leaders in a private broadcast. His voice was steady, calm, almost amused. "They gave us 7 days," he said. "But what they don't know is that we only need 1. Murmurs filled the room. He continued, "Let the Empire come. Let them bring their fleets. We've waited a long time for this." Then he looked directly into the camera. His smile was sharp as a blade. "They think this is their war, but it's ours." In the Empire's control center, an officer reported, "Sir, human communication traffic has dropped, but internal power readings are spiking. They're doing something." The supreme voice raised an eyebrow. "It doesn't matter. They will fall like all the others." But something inside him felt uneasy. Back on Earth, hidden silos opened. Black warships lifted from oceans and deserts, like beasts rising from their cages. Lyra watched from the control tower, her heart pounding. "Phoenix Protocol," she whispered. It's really happening. The humans were not preparing to surrender. They were preparing to strike. As the first human fleet left Earth's orbit, the world stood together in silence. No fear. No begging, just a quiet, dangerous smile, because humanity knew something the Empire didn't. They had been waiting for this day. The countdown had begun, 6 days left. The Galactic Empire believed humans would spend those days begging or hiding. But they were wrong. Earth had no fear. It was moving like a machine that had been waiting for the perfect moment to wake up. In hidden cities below the ground, deep inside oceans and far beyond the moons, a quiet storm was building. Commander Rian Vale walked down a long steel hallway inside Fort Genesis, an underground military base that the world thought had been abandoned. Soldiers, engineers, and scientists were everywhere. No one shouted. No one wasted a second. Status? Ryan asked. A young officer replied, Phoenix Protocol is active. Erebus is fully online. All fleets are responding to the signal. Ryan stopped for a second and looked at the giant screen on the wall. Across the galaxy map, dozens of green dots had begun to move. Each dot represented a hidden human fleet. For decades, these fleets had remained silent, watching and waiting in the dark. Good, he said softly. They have no idea what's coming. In the Arctic base, President Keller stood in front of a wide glass wall. Outside, the snowstorm howled. Inside, hundreds of strategic officers worked quietly. General Rayner joined him. Sir, the world wants to know what our next move is. Keller turned, his face calm. Our next move is to let the Empire believe we're doing nothing. We want them relaxed, Rayner frowned. You're saying we let them think we're scared? Keller gave a small smile. Exactly. Far away on the surface of Mars, black warships began to rise from underground hangars. These were not new ships, they were old monsters, built in secret after the First War. Each one was armed with weapons the galaxy had never seen. Launch sequence complete, the AI Erebus announced. The first fleet disappeared into the dark, their engines silent and cold. They didn't want the Empire to detect them yet. Meanwhile, on the Empire's side, alien generals laughed in their war rooms. The humans are silent, one of them said. They must be scared, another replied. 7 days will be more than enough. Their fear makes them weak. The supreme voice listened without emotion. He was sure of victory. After all, every species that stood against the Empire had fallen. Why would humans be different? But on Earth, silence meant danger. Lyra Stone stood on the balcony of the Pacific Defense Station. Dozens of massive ships floated in the ocean below, their black hulls shining in the moonlight. Pilots moved like shadows boarding their fighters. Every movement was smooth, practiced. She looked up at the stars and whispered, They'll never see it coming. Inside the secret command center, Erebus's core glowed brighter than ever. It connected to every ship, every base, every satellite. Its voice echoed through the speakers. Fleet positioning, 87% complete. Orbital defense network online. Phantom squadrons ready for deployment. Ryan stepped into the command room. Erebus, he said, keep us invisible. The moment they detect us, we lose the advantage. Confirmed, the AI replied. The Empire will see nothing, until it is too late. Back on Earth, President Keller walked into a dark hangar. In front of him was Leviathan 1, the largest warship humanity had ever built. It had been kept hidden under the ocean for decades. Technicians ran final checks on its engines. The giant vessel hummed like a sleeping beast ready to rise. Keller placed his hand on the cold metal. We've waited long enough, he whispered. Now let's make them remember who we are. 5 days left. The Empire continued to move its fleets closer to Earth. News spread across the galaxy. Other species watched in silence, believing humanity was already doomed. But if anyone had looked closely at the stars near Earth, they would have seen faint blue lights moving in perfect formation. Human fleets were not hiding anymore. They were hunting. In a hidden operations room, Lyra sat with her squad. We'll be the first to hit them, she said. No mistakes, no mercy. They think we're small. We'll show them how big a storm can grow. Her wingman nodded. The air in the room felt electric. Erebus made one last announcement to every fleet. Day -5. Operations begin in 60 hours. When the Empire arrives, we will not defend. We will strike first. Ryan looked at Keller. We're not just surviving this, are we? Keller's smile returned. No, we're going to break them. And as the Empire prepared for a simple, easy war, humanity prepared to rewrite the story. The storm was almost ready. The silence would soon end. The Empire's fleet arrived on the sixth night. The stars above Earth twisted as hundreds of enemy warships emerged from hyperspace. Their massive black hulls blocked the light of the sun. It looked as if the sky itself had been swallowed by darkness. On the ground, people looked up. They didn't scream. They didn't run. They only watched and calm and silent. It was not fear in their eyes. It was something else. Confidence high above the Pacific. On the Iron Dawn, the command ship of the human fleet, Commander Rian Vale stood on the bridge, watching the alien armada spread across orbit like a swarm. The enemy ships were huge, far more advanced than most civilizations had ever faced. But Ryan wasn't shaking. They came early, Lyra said, walking to his side, her flight suit ready. They're excited, Rian replied. Let them think we're weak. It will make the fall hurt more. Erebus's voice echoed through the control room. Enemy fleet size, 312 capital ships, 1-200 escorts, 3 command carriers. Orbital blockade in progress. No civilian panic detected. Ryan smiled faintly. Good. Let's make this the last mistake they ever make. In the Empire's flagship, a tall alien figure in golden armor stood on a raised platform. He was the Supreme Voice himself. Around him, alien officers moved nervously, though none dared to speak out of turn. Open the channel, the Supreme Voice ordered. A wide broadcast was sent to Earth. His image filled every screen on the planet. Humans, his cold voice rang out. This is your final hour. Kneel before the Empire. Surrender your world. Your lives will end quickly and with honor. Resist, and Earth will burn. For a moment there was silence. Then the reply came. President Keller appeared on the screen, sitting in his chair with a calm smile. He didn't look like a man facing the end of his species. He looked like someone who had already won. You want us to kneel? Keller said softly. We don't kneel. We don't beg. We smile before the storm. The line ended. Inside the Empire flagship, confusion spread. Sir, was that a threat? They're not surrendering. Why aren't they afraid? The Supreme Voice clenched his jaw. It doesn't matter. Begin the assault, but the first move didn't come from the Empire, it came from Earth. As the alien fleet moved into firing positions, Erebus whispered through the human network. Operation Phantom begins. Suddenly, from the dark side of the moon, dozens of invisible ships came online. Their stealth systems had kept them hidden for years. They moved like shadows, sliding behind the enemy blockade. Before the Empire even realized what was happening, the first wave of human missiles struck. 3 enemy cruisers exploded instantly. Their broken hulls scattered across orbit like burning shards. Direct hit, Lyra said, her eyes sharp. They didn't even see it coming. The second wave followed. Railgun slugs and precision strikes tore through the outer layer of the blockade. The Empire's perfect formation fell apart in seconds. What is this? An alien officer screamed. Where did those ships come from? They're everywhere. The Supreme Voice slammed his hand on the control panel. Fire back! But it was too late. Human fighter squadrons launched from hidden hangars on Earth's surface. Lyra led the first wave. Her ship shot out of the atmosphere like a blade. Enemy fighters tried to intercept, but her squad was faster, sharper. This is Valkyrie 1, she said over comms, targeting their carriers. Let's give them something to remember. The fighters tore through the Empire's support ships with surgical precision. Explosions lit the night sky, visible even from the surface. Ryan stood on the bridge as Erebus fed him enemy casualty numbers. 32 enemy ships destroyed. No losses on our side. Their comm channels are full of panic. Keep the pressure, Ryan said. Don't give them time to think. We control the battlefield now. Down below, civilians in New London watched the fiery trails across the sky. A child pointed upward. Is that us? He asked. His mother smiled. Yes, baby. That's us. Inside the enemy flagship, alarm screamed. Our left flank is collapsing. Multiple ships down. They're stealth technologies. We can't track them. The Supreme Voice stared at the holographic battlefield in disbelief. This wasn't how the war was supposed to go. Humans were supposed to cry, not fight back like predators. Lyra's squad broke through the final defense line of the carrier group. Her missiles locked on. This is for Earth, she whispered. The carrier exploded in a massive wave of blue fire. Enemy fighters scattered in terror. Carrier destroyed, Erebus confirmed. Enemy command link unstable. For the first time in its history, the Galactic Empire's invasion fleet began to retreat from an opening battle. On the bridge of the Iron Dawn, Ryan folded his arms. They thought we were prey, he said softly. But prey doesn't smile. Lyra returned to base, her heart pounding with adrenaline. This was just the beginning. The humans had shown their teeth, and the Empire finally understood it had made a terrible mistake. The galaxy had witnessed something it never expected. The Galactic Empire, the strongest power in known space, had faced humanity in open battle. And bled, but Earth was not done. The humans had only shown their claws. What was about to come next was the fire. In the dark void above the moon, the Iron Dawn floated like a silent predator. Commander Ryan Vale stood on the bridge, watching hundreds of human ships form up in tight formation. They were preparing for something big, something the Empire wouldn't forget. Damage reports? Ryan asked. Minimal, an officer replied. Enemy fleet retreated to regroup at Point Gamma. Our fighters are ready for round 2. Ryan gave a cold smile. Good, now it's our turn to attack. Erebus's voice filled the room, calm and deep. Phoenix Protocol Phase 2 active. Full fleet awakening sequence initiated. Deep beneath the Atlantic Ocean, massive steel doors began to rise. Water rushed out as something older than most wars emerged. It wasn't just a ship. It was a Titan. Leviathan 1 rose from the dark, its black hull glistening in the moonlight. Engines burned like blue fire. Smaller ships followed behind it, like an army waking from a long sleep. On every continent, silos opened, hidden hangars came online, and long-deactivated satellites powered up. It was as if the planet itself was transforming into a weapon. Lyra Stone stood on the flight deck, watching Leviathan 1 break the ocean's surface. The water exploded around it. She's awake, she whispered. The Phoenix is rising. In orbit, Erebus connected to the entire fleet. Attention all units. Phase 2 requires full cooperation. All squadrons prepare to jump. The fleet didn't wait for the Empire to return, they went after them. The Empire's regrouping point at Point Gamma was supposed to be secure. Hundreds of alien ships hovered around a massive command carrier. Generals inside were already preparing for a second wave on Earth. Their defense will break in the next assault, one alien said. They're just lucky, another added. Then the alarm started. Multiple warp signatures incoming. They're coming from every direction. The human fleet arrived like a silent storm. They didn't roar. They didn't warn. They just hit. The Iron Dawn jumped in first. Behind it came Leviathan 1, followed by dozens of Titan-class ships and hundreds of smaller strike craft. The void lit up with blue fire as human weapons opened up all at once. Fire at will, Ryan commanded. Railguns roared. Plasma beams cut through the black. Enemy cruisers exploded before they could even form their defense. The Empire panicked. Their perfect battle plan fell apart. They're not defending. They're attacking us. How did they find this location? Lyra's squad dove straight into the enemy fighter screen. She twisted through explosions, locking onto targets with deadly precision. Her squad moved like a blade, cutting through their defenses. Valkyrie Squadron, target their carrier reactors, she ordered. On it came the reply. Inside the Empire flagship, the Supreme Voice stared at the battle hologram in disbelief. This is impossible, he hissed. They're outnumbered, yet... They're winning, an officer stammered. They're coordinated, sir. Their AI, their strategy, it's too fast. We can't keep up. Erebus spoke in every human pilot's ear. Enemy formation collapsing. Primary targets locked. Strike now. Ryan watched the screens. Finish them. Leviathan 1 unleashed its main cannon. A beam of pure energy ripped through space, tearing apart the enemy's central command ship like it was made of paper. The explosion lit the entire star system. Cheers echoed across human comms. Back on Earth, people watched live feeds of the battle. Children in shelters raised their fists. Engineers on the ground cried. For years they had prepared in silence, mocked by the galaxy. But now humanity was showing what silence can hide. Lyra's voice came through the comms, strong and steady. Carrier down. Enemy fleet breaking apart. This is what happens when they underestimate us. The Supreme Voice stood in silence as the Empire's fleet burned. His hand trembled slightly. Retreat, he finally ordered. But for many of his ships it was too late. On the Iron Dawn, Erebus made the announcement, "Enemy forces destroyed. Remaining ships fleeing the sector." Tactical victory confirmed. Ryan took a slow breath. This isn't over. "They'll come back with everything they have." Keller's voice came through from Earth. "Good, we'll be ready. They've awakened the Phoenix, and it doesn't sleep anymore." The fleet regrouped. Wounded ships were repaired. New squadrons were launched. Humanity didn't celebrate, not yet. They knew the Empire would return. This time with its full force. But something had changed. The galaxy had seen the humans fight, and the Empire had learned fear. Lyra stood on the observation deck, watching the debris of the enemy fleet drift through the stars. Her heart pounded. "They thought they were gods," she whispered. "But gods can fall," Ryan joined her. "And humans rise from the ashes." Above them, Leviathan 1 glowed like a star reborn. The Phoenix had risen. The galaxy had changed. The Galactic Empire was no longer feared like before. Its fleets had burned in the Black Void. Its commanders had tasted defeat. And for the first time in centuries, its enemies had hope. And the ones who had brought this change were the humans. From a small blue planet, they had risen like fire through the cold stars. But the war was not over. It was only beginning. Commander Rian Vale stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, staring at the massive star map. Red dots filled the center of the galaxy, the Empire's home territory. Blue lights spread around them, the human fleets and their new allies. "They won't wait long," said Keller's voice from Earth. "We strike before they rebuild," Ryan nodded. "Then we take the fight to their home." Erebus, the AI, spoke calmly. "Phoenix Protocol, my final phase activated. Operation Stormbreaker begins." All across human space, ships came to life. Hundreds of them. Titans, dreadnoughts, carriers, and fast strike craft aligned in perfect formation. Humans had united every surviving force, and now other alien races joined them too. Races that the Empire had crushed long ago. They came not for revenge, but for freedom. Lyra Stone watched her squad preparing for launch. Her fighter was polished and armed, glowing under the hangar lights. She touched the metal softly. "One last battle," she whispered. The target was the heart of the Empire, the Obsidian Throne, a fortress planet surrounded by rings of war fleets and defense grids. No one had ever dared to attack it. No one had ever returned from its gates. Until now, Erebus projected the battlefield. Enemy strength overwhelming, probability of failure high. Ryan smiled faintly. "Then let's make history." The fleet jumped, the stars bent, the universe stretched. And then they arrived. The Obsidian Throne filled their view, a black world wrapped in armor, glowing red with power. Its defenses lit up the moment the humans appeared. "Incoming fire!" Thousands of beams and missiles shot out like a storm. "Shields up!" Ryan shouted. The Iron Dawn shook but held its ground. Leviathan 1 fired its main cannon, blasting open a hole in the enemy's first line of defense. Lyra's squad launched like arrows, weaving through enemy fire. "Target their power stations," she ordered. "Cut their claws." The Empire fought back with everything it had. Massive warships pushed forward. Swarms of fighters filled the sky. The Supreme Voice himself commanded from the throne, his voice echoing through the enemy comms. "Burn them. Burn their world. Burn their hope." But humanity didn't break. The fleet moved like a single creature, fast, deadly, and unshaken. AI and humans worked together perfectly. Erebus calculated every move. Pilots trusted the system. Commanders trusted each other. For the first time in history, they were not defending, they were conquering. On the ground, Keller led the strike team that landed near the Obsidian Core, the heart of the throne's power. The air was thick and dark, the sky burning above them. Explosions shook the ground as human troops advanced. Alien defenders screamed in panic. "Push forward!" Keller shouted. "End this war here." Back in orbit, Lyra's squad punched through the last ring of defense towers. She flew faster than she ever had before. A massive alien cruiser locked onto her. "Valkyrie 1, incoming fire," Erebus warned. She spun sharply, the beam missing her by inches. Her wingmate returned fire, blasting the cruiser into pieces. "Thanks," she breathed. "We're not dying today," came the reply. The Iron Dawn and Leviathan 1 broke into the inner orbit. All remaining human ships followed. "Target the Obsidian Core," Ryan commanded. "All guns, fire." A storm of plasma and railgun fire rained down. The throne's shields cracked. Energy screamed across space. The enemy fleet broke apart like shattered glass. Inside the throne, the supreme voice felt the ground shake. He looked at the burning sky and finally understood. "They are not weak," he whispered. Keller and his team reached the core chamber. Massive black pillars pulsed with energy. He planted the final charge. "Erebus," Keller said, "it's ready." "Detonation in 10 seconds, Erebus replied. The humans ran. The core exploded with a light brighter than a star. The shockwave tore through the throne, ripping its defenses apart. From space, Rian watched the black planet burst like a dying sun. "It's over," he said softly. Silence fell across the battlefield. The once mighty Empire fleet floated in ruins. The obsidian throne, a symbol of fear for centuries, was gone. "All enemy signals offline," Erebus confirmed. "The Empire has fallen." Lyra sat in her cockpit, breathing hard, staring at the glowing remains. "We did it," she whispered. "And we really did it." Ryan leaned back in his chair. For the first time in years, the stars felt quiet. Keller's voice came through, tired but proud. "The galaxy is free." Across alien worlds, news spread like wildfire. People cheered. Chains were broken. The shadow of the Empire was gone, but humanity didn't claim the galaxy. They didn't raise their flag as conquerors. They came as survivors who refused to bow. In the calm after the war, Erebus spoke softly on the bridge. "Commander, what happens now?" Ryan looked out at the stars. "Now," he said, "we build something better." And for the first time, the galaxy belonged not to an empire, but to everyone. The war was over. The Galactic Empire had fallen. Its black throne turned into dust among the stars. The fleets that once ruled with fear were now silent wreckage floating in space. And at the center of it all, the humans stood, not as conquerors, but as survivors who refused to kneel. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy was quiet. But silence after war is never easy. It is heavy. It asks questions that no weapon can answer. Commander Ryan Vale stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, looking out at the stars through the wide glass window. The battlefield below had turned into a graveyard of broken ships, human and alien. Erebus spoke softly. "All enemy signals are confirmed offline. The Empire is gone. Victory is complete." Rian didn't smile, not yet. "Victory is only the start," he said quietly. On Earth, President Keller addressed the world for the first time since the war began. His speech was broadcast to every planet, every ship and every colony. Behind him, the human flag waved gently, not a symbol of power, but of survival. "We did not fight to rule," Keller said. "We fought to live. We fought to be free. And now the galaxy is free too. Today is not the end of a war. It is the beginning of a new dawn." People listened from every corner of space. Survivors of the Empire's cruelty, humans and aliens alike, cried, cheered, and felt hope they hadn't felt in generations. Lyra Stone walked down the landing bay of the Leviathan One. The battle was over, but she still felt the echo of it inside her chest. Her fighter's wings were scorched from fire. Her hands still shook slightly. One of her wingmates approached. "It's strange," he said. "I thought I'd feel louder." Lyra gave a small smile. "This kind of victory isn't loud. It's quiet, because we survived." Weeks passed. The ruins of the obsidian throne were cleared, not to erase history, but to rebuild something new. The Galactic Council that once ruled with terror no longer existed. In its place, a new assembly began to form, made of humans, aliens, and AI. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't easy. But it was real. "This is not a human empire," Keller declared during the first meeting. "This is a home for everyone who wants to live free." The galaxy had never heard words like that before. Erebus expanded across the new network, not as a weapon, but as a guardian. It helped rebuild destroyed colonies, repaired broken ships, and kept the peace where chaos had ruled before. "For centuries," Erebus said to Ryan one evening, "I was made to fight, but now I learn to build." Ryan smiled faintly. "We all do. On distant worlds, old enemies became neighbors. Alien children studied beside human children. Warships were turned into ships of exploration. Places once filled with fear now held light. Lyra and her squad became peacekeepers, not soldiers. She flew over new colonies, not battlefields. For the first time, her wings carried no blood. "This is what we fought for," she told her team as they flew over a green valley on a reborn planet. But even in peace, humans did not forget. A memorial was built where the first attack happened, a simple monument of silver and stone. Names of the fallen were carved into it, glowing softly under the stars. Ryan visited often. He stood there reading the names in silence. "They thought we would break," he whispered. "Instead, we became stronger." Across the galaxy, people began to call this new era the Dawn Age. Trade routes opened. Old borders disappeared. Knowledge flowed like rivers between worlds that once feared each other. Humanity had not destroyed the galaxy. It had united it. On the final night of the first Galactic Assembly, President Keller raised a glass and looked out over the sea of faces, human, alien, and AI alike. "We are not rulers," he said. "We are builders. Remember that." The crowd stood in silence, and then applause filled the great hall like thunder. Ryan returned to the bridge of the Iron Dawn. Erebus waited quietly. "What now?" the AI asked. Ryan looked at the stars. They were no longer places of fear. They were invitations. "Now," he said with a small smile, "we explore." The ship's engines came alive, but this time there was no war waiting ahead. Only endless stars waiting to be known. Lyra flew beside the flagship, her fighter moving through the dark like a silver arrow. The stars spread out before them, wide, endless, and free. For the first time in a long time, humanity was not running. It was leading, and the galaxy followed.